pushes way up the racetrack, and now here comes Janzik. Janzik goes by Query, and he goes by Inman. Burnell gets a great run, another 3 wide for the race lead. It's going to drag race off of turn 4. Shepard is there, but it's Larry White at the line. Still going to be Pat Ward, and they make contact. Britton has broken the race car. AJ Slideways. Alan Johnson wins.
Whether you hug the infield tires or rip the cushion, you found the fastest dirt track podcast in motorsports. Welcome to Where Legends Are Made, the official podcast of Land of Legends Raceway. Here's Stephen and Brad Ovens.
Hello, race fans. Welcome to episode number 1 for season 3 of Where Legends Are Made, the official podcast of the Land of Legends Raceway. My name is Steve Ovens. Welcome aboard here as we get ready to go for 2022. And I want to start the podcast off. Obviously this has been a tough off season for myself, my family, and a ton of our racing friends in the motorsports community. I wasn't really sure if firing the podcast back up was something that I even wanted to do. For those that are tuning in and have not heard the news or not seen the memorial plans that are getting put into place. Back in November, just after we ended our season in late September, the co-host here for Where Legends Are Made and a video and graphical genius and, kind of a quiet guy if you didn't know him or didn't get to, really see the inner workings of all the work that he did in the background. My brother, Brad Ovens, passed away November 19th from COVID-19, just 16 days after my father, Stuart, passed away from COVID as well. And, I would be lying if I said that, it hasn't been a tumultuous off season. And, there was never a question about whether or not, me personally, whether I wanted to continue with racing and continue, that was such a big part of our lives. But there's a whole list of things that I guess I've kind of needed to come to grips with. Do I want to continue doing the podcast? Do I want to continue doing anything in terms of iRacing and broadcasting as we used to do in the past? What I do know is racing is a huge part of our lives. Racing is a huge part of the many things that I find happiness in. And though it will be weird walking into that tower on opening night and even for practice day, if we get to run it, we just have to press on. And, with this podcast in particular, that's kind of where I've come to in the last couple of weeks. It's going to be weird not having Brad as another voice here. It's going to be weird not having him as somebody that I can go to when I run into a technical issue that's over my head. And, there's so many things that I could take to Brad and say, hey, man, I can't figure this out. Or if I did figure something out and I wasn't super happy with the quality of what I had put together, he was a guy I could just send it to and say, hey, I need you to take an hour and go through what I just did here and put the magic Brad touch on it. Spice it up, make it, dress it up, make it look fancy. There's so many things that I don't know that people even understood of the involvement that Brad had here at the Land of Legends on the production side. I mean, we talk about the fact that he was the assistant producer. We talk about the fact that, at times he got the drone out and was able to kind of incorporate that into our shows. But from a graphical standpoint, from a technical standpoint, I mean, there was so many things that he was front and center on, and really a great teammate to our producer, Art Rorick. But So I guess what I'm trying to say is, it's been tough to kind of make a decision whether we wanted to keep these things going, but I do know that people enjoy hearing about their home track and hearing about the things and hearing about the players that make everything happen at the racetrack. And we're going to hear from two of them on this week's program. Paul Cole, promoter of the Land of Legends Raceway, kind of brought Canandaigua motorsports back to its heyday. There's still a lot of things that I know Paul wants to accomplish with the Land of Legends, but man, he's off to a hell of a start. So he's going to talk to us about his experience so far as a promoter, as well as the things he's looking forward to this year. And a huge topic of conversation is streaming video. Last year we went out on a limb, gave the video away for free, had lengthy discussions with Clinton Jeffrey and Adam Ross at Schweeken Speedway, who, work and operate GeForce TV. They've been doing free video for a few years now and have had a lot of success with it. And we stepped out on that limb last year and decided to do free video as well. And it is paying off, not just for the racetrack, not just for the marketing partners, but it's starting to pay off for the racers too. You're seeing more corporate sponsorships coming in. There's a lot that we talk about in that video streaming portion of the podcast this week. So I'll kind of leave that for Paul. But I think what I wanted to start this first episode out with is just a thank you. It has been a tough off season. And, practice day, opening night are going to be very hard, but I just wanted to start this year's first episode of the podcast with a thank you to the fans, to our friends, to our family, on behalf of my mom, my stepdad, Brad, my stepmom, Marge, Kaylee, Melissa, Adrian, everybody who has just had a ton of support from the motorsports community, whether you were a part of the NG Promotions benefit, whether you sent a text message, whether you sent a Facebook message or commented with your favorite Stu or Brad story. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts. They will never, ever, ever be forgotten. I will think of them every time I walk into a racetrack, not just at Canandaigua. And certainly when we do this podcast, I will always have Brad in my mind and in my heart. And we will continue to provide this kind of content in his memory because he was all about content. Brad was one of the people who said to me again and again and again, content is king. You can have good content. You can have bad content. You can have content that nobody gives a rip about. But content is king, and that's what we're going to continue to do. So that's how we start off episode number 1 here for season 3 of Where Legends Are Made. On the program this week, Paul Cole, Tana Robinson, who has got a great history in racing. We're going to talk a little bit about that, as well as her role at the Land of Legends and even her racing superstitions. Wait till you hear that. It's going to be a good one. Tana Robinson is our main interview of the week. But we'll step aside here. On the other side, we're going to bring in Paul Cole, promoter of the Land of Legends. You're listening to Where Legends Are Made, the official podcast of the Land of Legends Raceway. Well, fans, it's our first episode of Where Legends Are Made here for the 2022 season, getting ready to kick off our 2022 season on the big track as well. And joining us to talk a little bit about what we've got coming up this season and really some very interesting topics that have been circulating social media is none other than Land of Legends Raceway promoter Paul Cole. And Paul, I cannot believe, I said it earlier in the podcast, I cannot believe it's April already.
April has snuck right up on us, and we've been anxious for the snow to melt. Now the hard work begins. It's been a busy winter and getting a lot of things prepared, but now it's getting the nose to the grindstone and enjoying every warm minute we can get and dodging all the raindrops on the other days.
Taking, we've got a list of topics we're going to talk about here in the time that we've got here on this week's podcast. But, I kind of want to take a 30,000 foot view for you as a promoter here at Land of Legends. I recall you and I having a conversation, before any deals were made, you and I standing in the front stretch grandstands at Paradise Speedway, talking about how something like this, maybe could be in your future. Is it hard for you to imagine all that has taken place in that amount of time and to see, kind of where Land of Legends, the path that it's taken, or are a lot of these things kind of, part of that long-term plan that, doesn't happen overnight, but now you're starting to see some of that come to fruition? Like, what's your perspective on that?
Well, that seems like eons ago that we stood in the front stretch and talked about the things that were dreams in a napkin drawing. But with good planning and good execution, we receive good success. And a lot of those things that I dreamt about or we talked about, almost going on 5 years ago, have not only met those goals, we've exceeded them, and we've extended out bigger and fresher goals to move on to. It was certainly a big pie in the eyes. You're looking at everything and get all excited, and then realize you actually have to go through the process and get there. And although it seems like it's taken an eternity, 5 years is a short amount of time to achieve what we've accomplished at Land of Legends. And can't thank enough the hardworking people that come to work every day and give their efforts to make it the success that it is.
What is one thing as the track promoter that, back then when you were getting ready to get, and undertake this whole project, what is one thing that, kind of not something that snuck up on you, but what is something that kind of, surprised you or something that's come along that you may not have expected when you took on this role at Land of Legends?
I knew racing was a difficult atmosphere to work in, but I thought it would be easier than politics after working for Congress for 13 years. But I discovered real quickly that racing makes politics look pretty simple. There's so many facets every day. There's so many turns and twists, and for every one person you're helping, you might be hurting another person. Those are very common things in politics. It's trying to find that right balance. It's no different than even just putting the track in. Too wet and less dust makes a rougher track. Smooth and little dust makes for a dustier track. And it's finding the right balance and the equilibrium everywhere. And I think that's the biggest thing. I thought that would be easy 5 years ago. Now it's a daily and sometimes by the minute struggle. You gain one thing and sacrifice another. And that's the same with all the race cars. The same thing. The race cars have the same thing. You put a little more air pressure in, you might get a little more control. You take a little air pressure out, you might get, the change in the car, is different just by what you adjust. And you have to sacrifice something. You can't have it all at once. And that's the one thing I thought would be easy as a promoter. And end up finding out that's the biggest challenge.
One of the things that was really a big thing for you getting involved in, renaming the track Land of Legends Raceway, but you've had a focus right from the get-go on exposure for our sport, and the whole live streaming has been a big part of that. Now, right from the get-go, it wasn't a free stream, but that has been a topic that's come, I won't say come into question, or maybe I guess coming into question is the right way to put it. We've seen big figures like Kenny Wallace talk about, streaming, and folks that are commenting on his social feeds talking about, how live streaming is making it so people don't want to go to the dirt track anymore. I know from looking out of my window from the announcer's booth every week that that's not the case. You see it a lot more from the numbers perspective and where your vantage point is on race night. But I want to dive into that tonight, because I think that this is a huge thing that's been a big part of Land of Legends Raceway's success this past year, and is going to be a part of its success going forward.
The thing I took on when I first realized I was going to get involved in racing is to realize that you can't keep doing what it's always done and expect it to get better. It frustrated me to go in there and see the people taking last year's schedule and basically starting there and going back at the same thing. If things were improving every year, that would make sense. But they haven't been. Attendance at tracks have dropped off. Sponsorship at tracks had dropped off. Video was really starting to evolve, and pay-per-view is really just starting to get involved 5 years ago. It became a point in time where we had to look where the future was going, and I couldn't keep just doing what the track had done before and expect to become successful. Because if it was, then everybody would have been clamoring to be running a racetrack, and I don't see long lines at most tracks to be a promoter. When we laid it out, I recognized that the youth, the things that were missing from racing were things that are engaged in video. They're engaged in short-term thought processes. They're engaged in entertainment. You're watching every football stadium out there that's got the premier game in front of them, but at the same time has a 90 or 110 foot video screen to entertain the people in between plays, and even to watch the replay shortly thereafter. So I recognized quickly that one of the first things I did was bought the Jumbotron. That was before we even opened up. I spent that money because I knew the people I get to get in the stands want to be entertained, and that led right into the fact that we're already producing it. Now what are we doing with it? It became a quick and easy thing to put it out as pay-per-view. But I also recognize that's kind of short term. It means I'm only getting to people that can actually afford to have an internet access, pay for the stream, and then want to watch it from home. That's a very small select number of people. And I think one of the things that Kenny Wallace and others have pointed out is that this has allowed people not to go to the track. I see it the opposite. I see it's afforded more people to be interested in the sport and get there. But pay-per-view has kind of stunted the growth of dirt track racing on TV or from home because you had to buy pay-per-view. That means you already have to be a rabid fan. And if you're not a rabid fan, then you might not learn anything more about it. And you're watching, 6, 7, 10 tracks that are now coming online, now splitting up the rabid fans in order to get market share. We need to do just what network TV did, 80 years ago, is they found advertising, and let advertising, the backbone of all entertainment, to pay for the stream. There's never been a pay-per-view Super Bowl. There's never been a pay-per-view World Series. They've always done that by selling the advertising and getting it in front of people. And the more people you get in front of, the more fans you're going to get. And we proved that this last year. And I've had a lot of promoters and a lot of people question why we're doing that. But we're putting more money back into the sport. We're taking the opportunity for people to invest in racing, whether it be an advertiser being at the track, on our video screens, in front of our patrons, but even more importantly, it's putting more money back into the race cars. A number of race teams have added new sponsors or reinvigorated old sponsors to get involved and make sure their cars are racing where they're going to be seen by as many eyeballs as they can get. And we're watching that up and down our driver roster as they're securing bigger and stronger sponsorships. And people say, well, why would you do that? Why would you help the driver? And that doesn't help the track. And I said, absolutely, it helps the track, because when those drivers have the resources to get here and be there every week, their fans are going to show. And when they have connections to their sponsors, and their sponsor who can't always be here because he's running his business and trying to make a living and using this as an advertising piece to sell the products that he's advertising, he can't always get there, but he gets to stay involved from home or from wherever they're from. That's what's growing the sport. More eyeballs is growing the sport, and until more promoters get that focus, a lot of these pay-per-view things will constantly be an argument. Am I spending the right amount? Am I getting enough people? But I think they're kind of shorting themselves up in their success by doing pay-per-view.
The other thing, and you mentioned it, was the effect that this has on our race teams. And I know how many drivers have come to me asking how can I use what the track is doing and kind of use it to my benefit? How can I get those extra sponsors? I'm sure a lot have come to you as well. That's a huge thing right now. We're seeing drivers that are picking up sponsors, and not just picking up sponsors, but retaining those sponsors year over year, because these companies are now seeing there's a huge opportunity here for exposure with the free broadcast.
When I first started, the first year we did pay-per-view, we were lucky to average 80 to 100 people watching a night. Mostly you didn't find those are people that are already involved. It's a mom, it's a dad, it's a grandmother, it's the wife who's at home. They're already diehard fans, and they're already very familiar with what the sponsors are doing. I couldn't go to an advertiser and adequately say to them, hey, why don't you spend your advertising dollars with me on Land of Legends TV so that you can get to 80 new eyeballs. In fact, they're probably 80 old eyeballs. So I have to be able to give an advertiser something. And in the same breath, giving those drivers something so they can go back to their sponsors. Advertising is an exchange of money for getting me more customers. If I'm a business, I want more customers, and that's where I'm spending advertising dollars, is to attract more customers to my product. And when they get seen at a track, or they get seen on the TV screen, or they get seen on the race car, that attracts customers. And of course, there's success, there's views, there's a lot of different pieces. Some people will benefit really quickly from it. Some will find it doesn't fit their niche the best. But if we give more eyeballs, so now instead of getting 80 eyeballs or 80 sets of eyeballs on an average night, we're seeing 8,000 to 10,000 sets of eyeballs last year alone on an average night. That's got an advertiser's attention. I can tell them exactly where these people are from. We can show them exactly where to attack them more. We can give them opportunities to engage with their partners, with their customers more, and it's just helped the sport so much. And people say, well, why would you do it for everybody? Well, if everybody's not successful, I won't be successful either. You can't be successful by yourself.
I think the thing too that they're seeing, when they bring their advertising business to Land of Legends is, there's so many different avenues that they're going to benefit from that, advertising. It's not just at track, it's on social, it's on the app, it's on the broadcast. I mean, there's a huge opportunity there. And oh, by the way, shameless plug here, still a couple opportunities left to get involved in the 2022 season. Give Tana a call for that. But yeah, that's kind of the infrastructure that you've put in place to, make sure that they're getting that return and they're getting those new customers.
And that's just a matter of sitting down and making a plan. We sat down with our production team, we sit down with our social media team, we sit down with our marketing manager, and we make a plan and execute it. it's not easy. It's not easy to go out and get sponsors. It's not easy to produce. It's not hard though either. It's just taking a plan and executing it. No different than any one of these drivers setting up their car and preparing for a night, and then making the adjustments when depending on how the racetrack is or how the car is responding. It takes a little bit of work, but we have executed well, and it's taken investment. Like everybody's going to say, well, we don't have $10,000 to put into camera equipment, and I'm like, you don't have 10,000 not to. If you're going to do it right, and you're going to find the rewards are going to be that much more productive. Our attendance went up almost 20% from 2019 to 2021. We can't count 2020 because we couldn't have fans, but we jumped 20%. That's not just a little bit of growth. That's enormous growth. Our car count this year is predicted to go up, 10 to 15%. That's based on the fact that we're providing a good opportunity for these drivers to be seen and their sponsors to be seen. And when we do that, the racing will get better, the cars counts will get better, the production on the screen will get better, and it also gives us more to sell. We have more to sell. We have more fans, and we've just proven that over and over again. The marketing is just producing tremendous results, and people are like, but you're giving it away. No, I'm not giving it away. I'm selling the eyeballs of the customers to these advertisers, which is the same thing they would be doing whether they're buying a billboard in the infield or sponsoring the side of the car.
I have a question that, I think, some fans or even, some promoters out there may be saying as they're listening to this, this format, this structure, kind of how you're doing this at Land of Legends. I mean, is there any thought in your mind about, bringing on others to doing the same thing? Is that something that's, a couple years, is that even on the radar for Land of Legends TV?
Actually, that's been discussed. We've had other promoters reach out to us. We've got some offers available out there that can help these people bring their product to market. We've kind of paved the way. It'd be a shame for us not to share that. And, of course, we've, just like anybody else, you've got, some patent rights or some, historical teachings. Experience has value, but we can help other tracks, and we can help build the cost savings to how to grow other places. I'm just shocked that there hasn't been more tracks in the country sit down and have this discussion on a really open level of what will it do for their track. They spend a lot of money doing a lot of other things, whether you're buying advertising or there's a lot of things you can chase and waste a lot of money. And this one's by far is an easy opportunity, even if it's for single events. I know our production team has been more than interested to help do some special events and get right to our platform. And of course, that's only going to help us. The more platform we have, the more fans we have, the more eyeballs we have, the better advertisers we get, and help spread that cost to everybody. And again, when we get more people in the stands, we produce. We've got a lot of people that come back that have missed watching racing at Canandaigua, forgot about it until they saw it on TV. They know there's no rival of watching it on TV. They'd much rather be there in person. But it also keeps the fans that can only be there 4, 5, 6 times engaged the whole year long to be more animated to come the 4, 5, 6 times they can come. Some have jobs, some have other commitments to their family that they have to do, and some just literally can't afford to only the 4 or 5 times a year they might be able to go. And we want to get more fans engaged and keep them engaged. And we're watching a lot of kids that are watching. We've got a lot of families that have never followed racing. Once they get hooked, there's nothing like being at the track, and they'll be there. And that spills over to other tracks. We've got people that are fans that have the opportunity to now go watch other tracks. They get hooked, and they're now a fan of Racer X, and Racer X has gone out to another track on Friday nights. They're benefiting from our exposure because the person might live closer to the other track, and that's good. That's good for racing. It's good for everybody.
I think it's you that uses that line. What is that? High tide raises all ships.
Absolutely. When other tracks are suffering, we're going to suffer from it. When other tracks are doing well, we're doing well from it. You know, it's not a singular situation. And you know, people all the time say, "Oh, so and so is doing this." I said, "Good. I hope they're successful." And with so and so didn't do this so well, I said, "I feel bad for that. I want them to do better." And people are like, "Well, why?" Because they're your competitor. And I said, "You don't understand. I can't handle every race car in the country. We need to have people excited about racing everywhere. The more fans we have, the more people involved, the better it'll be for everyone."
Getting ready to start this 2022 season. From your perspective, you know, everybody's excited to crank the engines up and hit the track and the fans to come out to the track. But what are some things that fans can look forward to here in 2022 that might be a little different than years past?
Well, we've added the new Legends sportsman back. You know, we really need to build those next years of sportsmen. It's kind of neat. Like I think 3 or 4 of our sportsmen between this year and last year, actually going on 6, I think, have moved from the sportsman ranks to the modified ranks, and that's a good progression. You know, that helps the future of the big blocks, but it also opens the path for new sportsmen to get involved and new names to climb the ranks of that. And we're going to see some of those new names that'll jump right into the heart of it. We also have some younger kids that and young men and women that need to get more lap time. It's a big tricky track, and putting them in the middle of one of the most competitive sportsman classes in the country can be difficult. So we were going to get them more of their own track time, and we'll watch them. Some will evolve real quickly and jump right out of it, and some might be there for a while, trying to improve their skill. That's going to be exciting. I think we're going to see 6, 7, 8, 10 more big blocks. That's only going to make that exciting. That whole division even more exciting, because we have some of the best big block drivers in the country. You know, we kid it's the land of legends, but it's where legends are made, and that's because if you can win here, you can beat this field. You can win just about anywhere. You know, there's many guys here that they're happy to go out with a smile at 5, 6, 7 place, because they know that they beat some of the best to even be in the top 5. Our sprint car class is growing still. The 305 is still becoming one of the most exciting classes in the Northeast that's underexposed. Our street stocks and hobby stocks, boy, they put on great full fender shows. You know, we finished a race last year 5 wide, coming to the checkered line, and that's, if it doesn't get the fans up out of the seats, nothing else will. And you know, it's just an exciting time to get back into the summer, and it won't be long before the heat's here, and our fans will be filling the stands, eating fried dough and hot dogs, and chugging nice cold Pepsi or a Coors Light or Labatt's.
Well, we're looking forward to it. There's a lot to look forward to on the 2022 schedule. You know, Paul, I don't know if you have one in mind, but is there something on the schedule this year that kind of has you particularly excited to either see how the event goes or how it turns out?
Well, new things that on the schedule. Obviously, the Ovens Memorial be a great way to start out the year for our hobby stocks and street stocks. You know, it's going to be a difficult between day for both you and I. You know, obviously, it's a good memory for your dad and your brother. But it's also going to make some memories of people enjoying some of them their first night of racing, or their first night of racing in a long time. And I think that'll be good. We're adding Summerfast, which is a super dirt series race in the middle of summer. That's going to be an exciting 3-night tour that finishes at the Land of Legends. That'll be exciting because you know, these guys will be racing for a little mid-season summer championship, and that should be fun. Our Sportsman Series, sponsored by Sterling Lubricants. That's a new unique piece where we got 6 qualifying events where people can qualify in a number of different ways to make it to the Jerry Harris Memorial Sportsman race. You know, that'll be by the end of the year. You'll look at that'll be the 30 best sportsman drivers that have come across our track this year. It's not just to show up. You got to actually win your way in. And then you know, of course, we always top it off with the Jerry Harris Memorial, which is one of the most exciting and lucrative races in the Northeast for big block drivers. 26 guys go home with at least $1,000. It's kind of hard to take a sneeze at that. And those three 20-lap heat races sometimes are probably more exciting than the feature. And looking forward to that too.
Well, there's a lot to look forward to. landoflegendsraceway.com, of course, at Land of Legends NY on Facebook and Twitter. Paul, we're almost there, man. Appreciate the time and appreciate the discussion too, because we've seen it in Area Auto, we've seen it on social media, we've seen our buddy Kenny Wallace talking about it. This streaming's not going anywhere, and it's pretty cool that our track here in Canandaigua, New York, gets to be a pretty prominent part of that discussion.
It's not killing racing; it's only making it better. We're not losing concessions, we're not losing swag sales. We're gaining those things. Those percentages are going up, and that's due to giving away the best product we have, and that's our racing. Being there, there's nothing like being there, but you got to be able to want to watch it first, and we've excelled with that. And there's a lot of places around the country that have reached out to us and said, not only do we offer it for free, but it's one of the best productions that's in the country. And again, that takes effort. It takes the ability to want to succeed at it. Anybody give it away for free. A lot of stands people are picking up their phone and putting up Facebook Live, and sometimes that's the roughest video you could possibly ever watch. But we're giving top-notch quality streaming away with graphics that are unparalleled. And I'm going to put a toot in for Stephen Evans, one of the best announcers in the country right now. He'll make you get out of your seat at home when the cars are coming to the checkered flag, and that takes a special knack and only adds to the flavor of what we're offering from Land of Legends.
Well, man, we're almost there. We're almost there. It's going to be exciting, man. Appreciate the time.
Thanks.
All right, that's Paul Cole, promoter of the Land of Legends Raceway. One of our featured guests when we come back, our second featured guest for the first podcast of the season. Tana Robinson's going to join us to tell us all about all the great things on the marketing side and a little something for the kids coming up. Stay tuned. We're going to talk about the Little Legends Kids Club coming up here in just a little bit.
By the grace of God and 800 horsepower, it's time for the A-Main interview of the week.
Welcome back, fans, to Where Legends Are Made, the official podcast of the Land of Legends Raceway. And it's right, it's our A-Main interview of the week. And I thought it was appropriate after having Paul on the show today that we talked to somebody here for our A-Main interview of the week, who by the end of Saturday afternoon and Saturday night probably feels like she's done 150 lap A-Main at the Land of Legends. Tana Robinson joining us here on Where Legends Are Made. And Tana, I know I got a laugh there. I can't imagine what race day is like, because you are the first one to arrive, typically one of the last ones to leave. And there's so many things that happen on a race day that people just don't really have any idea of what happens to put a show on.
Yeah, a lot of people really don't. First and foremost, it's my favorite day of the week. There's no question. I might do 14 hours-ish, on average on a Saturday, but I really wouldn't have it any other way. I really do enjoy it. And I have been teased many times about being so fortunate to be able to, get paid to do my hobby. But it truly is a lot of work. It's not you guys open the gates on race day and, we go racing. There's a lot of work that goes into race day all week long, not to even talk about all off season. The off season is probably the busiest time of the year.
If fans that they know you from Land of Legends now here for the last season and coming into this season now, but some people that have been around the sport for quite a while, associate Tana Robinson. She was Ransomville Speedway. But what year did you get started at Ransomville?
So it's kind of really a funny story. A lot of people know me, who know me very well, and I can be outspoken. And I get that from my gram. But way back in, like, I think everybody will remember the Super Dirt Week. I think it was 89 when Danny and Frank Cozy got together in turn one.
Oh, yeah.
So I was literally in the hospital having my second son. And a friend of mine called me from the track and said, good thing you had Michael, because if you'd have been here, you would have went into labor. I was always a big Danny fan. And somebody had written their take of, how they felt it unfolded. And I wasn't there, but I did. At that time, it was VHS. I did order it and I watched it and I slow-moed it. And I was like, I totally disagree with you, bud. So I wrote the guy and told him my opinion, and he responded back, hey, Gary Spade and Dirt Track and Magazine's looking for writers. You should do it. And that's where it started.
Okay. I didn't even know that part of it. Okay.
Yeah. I started writing for Dirt Track and Magazine and then Gator Racing News. And, kind of a sad thing happened in Western New York with the passing of Alex Friesen. It left us a bit of a void at the Speedway in regards to PR. So Trish Friesen had given me a call and asked me if I would like to just start doing all the track's PR, since I was already doing stories about the track. And yeah, I had zero writing knowledge. Like I did not take writing, didn't go to school for it, any of it. But the passion, if you have a passion for something, you can pretty much almost do anything that it's involved with. So I ended up doing the PR, and 2 years later, Jamie Friesen said, hey, how about you start selling advertising for us? And I'm like, sure, why not? I didn't have any marketing background either. And that was the year 2000, and they actually brought me into work at Lancaster briefly before moving me to Ransomville because they sold Lancaster. And that's when it started. I started full-time in the year 2000 there, mainly handling all the ticketing and the marketing. And it just really turned into a management position. And, it'll always be my true love there. That place is home. It really is.
So from that perspective, on the management side of things, and taking that experience and now fast forwarding to 2022, what's interesting, I think, for the role that you have and some of the things that you and I get to work together on the marketing and social media side of things, there really isn't, there's an off season. We're not racing at the track, but there, especially for your role, I'll say, there really isn't an off season necessarily.
There really isn't. We stopped racing in mid-September and I work Super Dirt Week, and then all of a sudden, then there's Dirt Week, and we get into the end of October, and now it's time to send all of the sponsors and advertisers thank yous. You have, just because the season's over, their event is over, whatever have you, it doesn't stop. You have to continue working on those sponsors and advertisers all year long. It takes a thank you. Back in the day when there was a lot of print advertising, I would send copies of any ad that they appeared in. They got a copy of it in the mail. When you put them on Facebook, I'm screenshotting that and the link, and they're getting sent that link. So in the fall, I'm doing a lot of follow-up with all of them. And come November, you start right back in and trying to get them all signed for the next year and recruit new ones. You can't wait too long because, budgets get set. So if you wait too long to dive into that, a lot of companies are just, hey, sorry, we've already allocated all of our dollars and you've missed the opportunity. So you really do have to start it in like November. And of course we have the banquet too. That's basically like planning a wedding when it comes to all the seating and everything. Absolutely.
The feedback you're getting from the sponsors, people, they see on social media when we've got marketing partners that are coming back on board. And I think that's been a huge theme particularly this off season, is, sponsors who may have been there for the first time last year or signed on for the first time in a while. Now we're not saying, oh, we've got a new sponsor. Now the lingo is, we have re-signed a sponsor that's coming back. They liked what they got last year. They're coming back for more. What has that feedback been like, for you? Because you get to have these conversations with folks and get their impression of how things are happening.
Well, and people have said to me, "Oh my gosh, you're so good at it." It's not really, and I said it a little bit ago, when you have a passion for something, I couldn't sell you a used car. I couldn't, you know what I mean? Like it's because I love racing that gives me the ability to sell it. And also the attention to detail. And that's what I tell people all the time. Even drivers who sign on a sponsor, whatever you tell them you're going to do for them, you have to deliver. Dot every I, cross every T. Everything in their contract, you have to make sure gets taken care of. Sometimes I'm a bit of a pain in the butt with everybody because I'm, hounding people. Hey, we got to get this interview done. It can't not happen. It has to happen. All those things lead to those conversations because it leads them to saying, hey, you know what? Like, we want to be back on board. We want to be a part of it. It serves a couple of purposes. A lot of companies do the company nights, and that gives them kind of a well-rounded package. They get the opportunity to entertain. It could be employees, customers, family, or what have you. And it gives them a vast amount of advertising along with it. So it's kind of the best of both worlds. And then they're the companies that, do strictly the advertising. But again, you need to deliver on all of that, which leads to those conversations of people wanting to come back. And word of mouth leads to a lot of new people. It's very rewarding when you get those phone calls. Very, very rewarding.
Absolutely. In terms of, let's shift to race day now. Most challenging, the marketing season of getting all of these things in place, or an actual race week. I guess I should set race day aside, but for you, busiest and hectic, is it race week?
It's race day.
Okay.
Race week, I have, and I had a routine at Ransomville, and I pretty much adopted it into my role here at Land of Legends. I have things I do each day. So I try to spread it out a little bit, so I don't have myself going crazy. There's some things you have to wait until, race day. And weather plays a huge part in that. If it's absolutely nothing but gorgeous forecast for Saturday, I can print the tickets off ahead of time. I can get all that stuff ready. If it's, oh boy, like there's a chance of rain, I'm not going to print those tickets off till race day because they're dated. So now they're garbage if we don't run. So I try to be, smart. I don't want to waste money. So I will hold off on things like that. But I would say race day is the most hectic for sure, and the most stressful.
Yeah,
definitely the most stressful, especially when there's a chance of rain, because everybody's a meteorologist. and what people don't understand is you have to wait for it to actually rain. At least that's my mindset. It's not everyone out there agrees with that. I don't like canceling for radar. What if it misses you? We have 20 weeks. And if you lose one that you might have been able to get in, that's a loss. That's a loss you can't get back.
Sure.
And it just leads to the sponsorship piece and the rescheduling. And there's so many moving parts, but it's definitely a stressful environment on race day.
2022, what has you excited for this season? Every season has its own thing that makes it special or makes it unique, but in the planning process here, we haven't raced a week yet, but in the planning process, what has you most excited about this season?
You might find it very odd because the first thing that pops into my head is our apparel.
Yes.
because we're moving it. And I feel like it needs to have its own home. It needs to have a place that people can go and hang out and, look things over and just not feel rushed. I think having it been a part of another window made it difficult for people to do that. So I'm really excited that it's being moved, and I think we're going to that's going to really expand. I have a lot of ideas, things I want to bring in. Of course, it takes good time to do that. It's a slow go because it's a lot to invest in. Also, the car count. Like Paul and I've had these conversations. We're going to have enough space, which is a great problem to have. But the car count, it's everybody that we hear is coming. That's exciting. And it speaks to the facility, and it speaks to every piece of Land of Legends, not just the marketing piece, but the racing piece and the officials and the staff, and to you guys up in the tower and the amazing things that our production does. Those things collectively are why people are coming there.
And I think you and Paul both hear this a lot in your ventures on race night. We're seeing people come back to the track that, haven't been, just like on the marketing side. We're seeing people that are either making their first trip here, they're making their first trip in a while, or, and it does not matter. I found this on our full fender night. It does not matter what is racing at Land of Legends Raceway. People are coming to Land of Legends Raceway to see what's going on. But the conversations, the new fans or fans that are coming back after a while, those conversations have to be just so interesting for you and Paul to take in on a race night, because people are, have had that opportunity to see the free broadcast and kind of, as we say, test us out before you come extend the elbow.
Yeah, and there was a lot of people questioning Paul's decision in doing free TV, and I certainly was one of them. I was brought up that we have one product to sell, and that's racing, and it's hard to give that away. But we have seen the result of it. We have seen, as you touched on, the new people getting introduced to it. Now it costs them nothing to check it out. Check it out online. Hey, that looks pretty cool. We all know being in person is the only true way to experience it and enjoy it in its fullest. But being able to take a peek at it and check it out and see if it's something you want to go spend your hard-earned money on, the free TV gives people that option. It gets introduced to people who didn't even think about it. When they're showing it in bars, Proudy's Bar, they show it every Saturday. People who go in there for dinner, have a drink or two, can catch this on TV, and it piques their interest. The next thing you know, they're coming through the gate. People who maybe have gotten turned off for whatever the reason may have been. And now, we'll take a look at it. And they see the many changes and the improvements and how great it is and how exciting and fun it is. They're back through the gate. And the marketing piece. Again, I keep circling back to the marketing piece. The exposure that the companies who invest with us are receiving now is absolutely gigantic. Like I don't even know if there's a word to really put on it. It's just huge. The exposures, we know how many devices sign in, but how many people are at those locations watching?
Absolutely.
There's no way to put a number on that.
How often do we see a picture of, 10 people around the camper with the big screen TV watching from camp or
from our parking lot? That happened last year.
Yeah. Or the people that, throw a white bed sheet on the garage door up in Canada and they have a little family picnic and watch the racing. Or our friends, I got to give a shout out to our friends down in Atlanta, Georgia, who are originally from this area. but moved down and they all live within like a 1 mile radius of each other. And they all get together now on a Saturday night and watch the racing from New York. So it's pretty wild. It really
and that's,
is.
That's one of my pitches to companies. You don't have to be in our backyard anymore to advertise with us. Because we're reaching everywhere. We're reaching Atlanta, Georgia. We're reaching other countries, into Canada and others. It's like the reach is endless. It is a perfect time to be a part of the Land of Legends Raceway without question.
And we also have something for the kids, which I think is going to be awesome. The addition of the Little Legends program. Tell us a little bit about the idea there and what that will look like.
Well, it's really been handed over to Pam Dinkins. When we discussed bringing back the kids club and what we're referring to as the Little Legends, she was the first person to come to mind, because I've seen her in action doing it at another facility for a few years, and she's awesome at it. There'll be crafts, there'll be things that'll, Mother's Day is coming up. They'll be doing a craft for moms. It gives the parents an opportunity to, give their kids something to do before racing gets started. They'll have no concerns or worries. Their kids will be well taken care of, well entertained. Listen, the youngsters are our future. The young generation is our racing future. And we need to get them wanting to come to the racetrack. We need to entertain them from start to finish. And that will start for them when they walk through the gate with the kids club. We're going to have prizes will be given away. We've got some great sponsors coming on board to help out with it. It'll be good.
I like to ask racers this question, and I think I'll close with this question for you. I love to ask racers what their superstition is. Do you have a superstition on race day, or do you have something that is a part of every single race day? It's just a part of your program.
I have a superstition, and when I get done saying it, people are going to be asking to look in my shoes. But during the week, if I come across the penny heads up, I pick it up and it goes in my right shoe. And it does not come out. So I might have 15 pennies in that right shoe before season's over. That is my superstition. And I won't kill a spider. I will not kill a spider on race day. Because you kill a spider, it's going to rain.
Oh, okay.
Those are my two big ones.
All right.
The penny one people laugh at, but I'm telling you, I'll be doing it.
The penny one's got to be uncomfortable.
Well, it can be. But I'm like, oh no, I have to do it. Nobody hates rain more than I do on race day. Nobody. Right now, I woke up this morning and I'm like, it's truck day. I get to watch the truck race tonight, and it's raining in Martinsville.
Yeah.
Does not make me happy.
Yeah. Yep. Well, I can definitely say our fans relate with that. So
yeah,
sure. Well, I appreciate the time. I cannot believe how quick 20 plus minutes has rolled by here.
Yeah.
But I think it just speaks to all the good things that are happening and all the great things that we have to look forward to this year. And
well, Stephen, real quick, I gotta be honest with you, and I've said this to Paul. A year ago when the position was posted, and I had people blowing up my phone, you gotta apply, and I was like, no way, like, come on, it's the Land of Legends. Like, I cannot possibly be like the operations director there. And I applied, and here we are now, and I still have to pinch myself. It's the Land of Legends Raceway. Like, it's Canandaigua Speedway. Whoa! I am blessed to be a part of it. Absolutely blessed.
Right there with you. Yes. The first time walking through those gates as an employee, wow.
Nerve-wracking for me it was, but
I'm sure
the comfort level came along quickly. And I just love doing what I do. So that really helps. And it's great to be a part of such a professionally run business. Last year I had, and not to keep going, but last year we had a very prominent sponsor in this business. They are at many of the local racetracks. And their quote was, "You guys have set the bar on what we will expect moving forward." That meant the world to me. I have goosebumps right now thinking about when those words were said to me, because that just means like we really do it right. And that such a huge part of that is the production. Huge part of it.
Well, we're getting ready to do it again here.
Yes, we are.
Hopefully in a couple weeks, and we'll. I got a podcast I like listening to with Corey LaJoy. It's called Stacking Pennies, and I think maybe that's what we ought to call your shoe regimen, Stacking Pennies with Tana Robinson.
Sure.
I like it.
I'm good with it.
Hey, thanks.
It's weird, but it's mine.
Hey, that's right. That's right. We own it.
It what works for me.
Yep, absolutely.
Like, what do you mean it's going to rain? No, it's not. I found a penny.
That's right. And I didn't kill the spider. So
I did not kill the spider. Spiders get to live in my office on race day. They are golden.
Hey, Tana, thank you for the time again.
Thanks,
I'm so excited to get this season going.
Me too. Let's do it.
I appreciate too the opportunity for our fans that listen in here to kind of get a little behind the scenes. We've had Rooster on before. Paul's a fairly prominent guest on the podcast to kind of get that, behind the curtain peek without giving away all of our secrets. But, it's I know the fans appreciate it. So thank you.
Yes. Well, you are welcome. And thank you for asking me. Very enjoyable. And I love talking racing. So I just cannot wait. We just need Mother Nature to take her meds, turn off the faucet, and let's do this.
Yeah, let's get it dried up here.
Yes.
That's our A-Main interview of the week. Tana Robinson. You'll see her on race day. And hey, if you find a heads up penny, send it her way or stick it in your own shoe on race day. We'll be right back here after this quick word, and we'll close out our first podcast of the season.
Let's roll back the calendar with This Week in Land of Legends history.
That's right. It's This Week in Land of Legends Raceway history. And we took a look, big shout out to Bob Miller, one of the many passionate track historians who has been there and seen a lot of it. Maybe not every single race, but man, he has been there for a lot of them. We rolled back the calendar back to 1994 for This Week in Land of Legends Raceway history. And the season kicked off in April, on April 23rd, 1994. And that's actually when opening day is slated for 2022 at the Land of Legends. And winning on opening night back in 1994 was Bob McCready. And that was a name that you heard many, many, many times in 1994. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, not done yet, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 wins for Barefoot Bob McCready in 1994. Now, Bob is just one of the many names that you think of that have dominated the Land of Legends over the years. And another name that dominated in terms of championships and wins, the Hurricane, Steve Payne. He did not crack victory lane not once in 1994. In fact, there were only 4 drivers who made it to victory lane at Canandaigua that season. Bob McCready 15 times, Alan Johnson 4 times, and then who was the 4th driver, or the 3rd and 4th driver? I'll give you a second to try to answer that one. Canada Joe Plazek in his Maple Leaf Special. And who was the other driver? I'm not sure if you're going to come up with this one. I would, because I'm a big fan of the Water Wagon, Johnny Moravec, the gas man, winning on July 2nd, 1994. Only 4 drivers won features that season. In fact, there were 2 occasions where they had to run double features. May 14th was Bob McCready and Alan Johnson, and they ran double features again on June 18th of 1994. And guess who won those 2? Yeah, you guessed it. Barefoot Bob McCready. So McCready's 15 wins is how we roll back the calendar this week in Land of Legends history, taking a look back at the 1994 season here on Where Legends Are Made.
Land of Legends Raceway fans, tune in each and every week of the racing season to Where Legends Are Made, a podcast dedicated to covering the drama, excitement, and hear from the drivers from your favorite dirt track. Stephen Ovens and Brad Ovens walk you through the week that was Where Legends Are Made. Subscribe on Apple or Google Podcasts and visit landoflegendspodcast.com.
Fans of Land of Legends Raceway and the Where Legends Are Made podcast, we've got a great opportunity for you to feature your business. We have opportunities here to sponsor Where Legends Are Made. We have all different features of the podcast. You can pick to be a sponsor of one of our heat races. Maybe you want your business name attached to the top 10 read-offs for the week. Maybe you want your business to be the one that's heard when we play our highlight of the week. Maybe you're a history buff. You want to sponsor Heat 3, where we talk about this week in Land of Legends Raceway history. Maybe you want to be the main sponsor. So when we interview our main driver of the week, you want to get your business out in front of that. We've got plenty of opportunities for you to do so, and we can work inside of any budget. And believe me, if you're listening to this and you're saying, oh, I don't think my business has the advertising budget to sponsor a podcast, believe me, we can fit inside of anybody's advertising budget. Get your business a little bit of advertising here on Where Legends Are Made. Contact us right here on the Land of Legends Raceway Facebook page if you're interested, and put your business in front of all of our fans where legends are made.